Hey there, mindful travelers. This is day 13 of our Confidence Challenge, and I am coming to you live from Castroville Regional Park. For those Texans who are around the San Antonio area, you probably know where this is. It's just down Interstate Highway 90, going out toward Hondo, Del Rio, all that jazz. For those who aren't from around here, this is kind of at the precipice of the hill country, right in between, two climactic zones. It's a wonderful area. This park has a stream that flows through it, and you can see it behind me, that runs from the Medina River out from Medina Lake, which is a little ways up to the northwest of us. In the background, you can see Sarah, Amanda, and Adrian over there playing in the river. Wasn't really sure if I wanted to go live today. I did mention that I would, and I've had some trouble trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about and gather my thoughts. So I'm not really in it today, but I wanted to show up for you. I wanted to say hello. What I did bring up earlier today on my Facebook group, if you haven't joined it, I recommend you do come join the conversation, because that's where I'm getting a lot of my ideas. I'm trying to inspire people to go out and travel and explore the world in a new way. And, it's this back and forth dialogue that I talked about yesterday, where we're getting feedback from people, and then we're passing it forward as well. You can find that over at facebook.com/groups/novel excursion. So, yeah, I posted today one of my theme posts. With it being Wednesday, it's World School Wednesday in our group. And that's where we try and talk about, various educational opportunities around the world. Granted, I might need to change my theme since I just recently moved us from world schooling to travel schooling, but as I mentioned in that video last week, it's all under the same umbrella of alternative educational methods, various forms of homeschooling. So it doesn't matter which way you cut the cloth, it's the same general concept. But with it being, I love alliteration, I'm kind of weird like that. My OCD sometimes takes me down weird roads. But World School Wednesday just made sense to me. So I posted today, a question that came to mind when I was on the road in my morning run. I was listening to a podcast. I don't remember what it was, but they were talking about basically, embracing this mindfulness in what you do. And what I started thinking about was, why are we pushing people to, go travel and learn at the same time? What is the intent behind that? What is the purpose? I know why it's important to me, but why is it important to you? And what I started thinking about was, I had this idea between, bridging cultures between travel, education, and service, right? Oh, hey there. Thanks for joining me live. So much to see travel. Sorry, I couldn't pronounce that. But yeah, so everything around my vision is about travel, education, and service. Education being, number two. So travel, first thing you have to do is get out of that comfort zone. You have to go, right? And then education is next for us. So why is education so important? So for those who've traveled anytime, you know that there's transformative, principles behind travel. So travel is extremely transformative. It changes you in ways that you'll never be able to describe. Hey there, Melissa. Thanks for joining. So, yes, the transformative properties of travel are a wonderful thing. But too often, I've experienced this firsthand. I had this compulsive need to go see as many things as I can in whatever short period of time that I got, right? So I wanted to see everything because I felt like it all needed to be checked off. And there was this, unseen authority, telling me all this had to be checked off before I die, right? And that's where bucket lists come into play. But too often we come back from these trips feeling unfulfilled, and that was part of the podcast I was listening to, that, people go travel and they are different when they're traveling. So they eat healthier, they exercise more, they're more mindful of their world and see things differently. But as soon as they come back, that whole feeling is lost. And you just go back into, your standard, 9 to 5 or whatever it is that you do on a daily basis, and you just kind of coast through life and you aren't enlivened anymore. And the reason I think that happens is because people aren't traveling purposefully. So people travel like I used to go see things and have this experience, this wonderful experience that is short-lived. and it has no long-term benefits to you. Yes, you'll have the pictures, you'll have the memories, but memories fade. Pictures get lost, they get wet. All this stuff goes away. Everything is impermanent. So if you're traveling just for that finite experience, what do you do when it goes? What do you do when you're back home? What do you do when you forget? So that is why I think travel in itself isn't enough. So that's why we're incorporating education. So I think education is vital in building a better world. Education is vital in making us more complete humans. And that's why I think if you travel to learn as opposed to travel to experience, you might come out more enriched, more fulfilled at the end of it. And we have incorporated that into our travel. When we went on a road trip in May, yes, we were going to Walt Disney World. That was our end state goal. But we planned on learning the entire way. So we had stops, we had pit stops planned, we had, lesson plans built. We had this idea that we were going to these places to learn something new. We even went to Walt Disney World to learn what we could to find educational opportunities. Come to find out, they're everywhere. People just walk by them because they're running to the next store, they're running to the next attraction, they're running to go see Mickey. All these things, just a big, neon signs that are everywhere, but you miss, there's little placards everywhere that talk about the history of Walt Disney World, that talk about, there was a nature trail that I had no idea existed in over by Canada in Epcot. So there's little things that you miss, these little details that you'll miss when you just travel for the experience, but you won't miss when you travel to learn. So we went to learn, and lo and behold, we came out more fulfilled. I'm not feeling this. I'm a huge Disney nerd, and I love going to Disney. Every time I leave, I feel this overwhelming grief that I have to go, and now I have to wonder how I'm going to afford it the next time. This time, I'd love to go back, but I was fulfilled. I was enriched. It was wonderful. It was a great experience. I have so many memories of getting to actually teach Sarah about, Morocco, about these races through the desert that I found in an exhibit that I had no idea was there. So that being said, this is why I wanted to bring up education, that it applies wherever you go. We're about to be going to Portland in 2 weeks. If you haven't checked out my blog post from last week, I believe, no, it was 2 weeks ago, you can look that up, novelexcursion.com/travel-schooling-Portland. I'll post that link down below. But yeah, you can check it out and see what we're looking at to go learn in Portland. So we're not going to Portland to say, hey, have this grand experience. We are minimizing what we're planning. We're going to learn. We're going to go to various places that talk about culture, that talk about the development of the city, that talk about the development of nature and preservation of nature in that area. And we think that's going to give us a whole different perspective of Portland itself that most people won't see if you just Google it and try and find, the top 10 must-dos. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about education and travel? What do you think about changing your perspective when you travel? Is that a purpose that, would make it more enriching? Is that a good way to let you finish your travels and feel like, you're better for it now, and you can actually apply that to your everyday life? That's the goal. That's the goal for us here at Novel Excursion. That's why we want to bridge cultures through travel, education, and service, because we want to make people better, and we want to inspire social change. And the only way we can do that, the only way we see we can do that logically and, feasibly, is by getting people to get out of their comfort zones, getting people to travel to learn, which means they engage with more people, they go with an inquisitive mindset, and then service, where you give back to that community. So you give your own perspective, you give your labor, you give your, heartfelt assistance to whoever, whatever it is that you are experiencing when you're in that destination. So we think that will make a difference in the long term. We hope you do too. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you tomorrow when we kind of rehash those 3 goals that we were talking about before. It will be the end of week 2, start of week 3, coming up shortly on this confidence challenge. So again, thank you. When you see this on YouTube, please subscribe, share with your friends. We're trying to build as many subscribers as we can. And like I said, join us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, head over to my website. We're offering a free family travel packing list for anyone who signs up for our mailing list, and you can always opt out of that if you desire. When you do subscribe on our mailing list, you can see it either in the floating bar or the pop-up that comes up with the squirrel, that crafty squirrel that tried to steal our food in Florida. When you sign up, you'll see a little checkbox that says you can opt in for information about Cultural Excursion San Antonio. So that's an event we're about to do in December, our inaugural event. We're hoping to have this 5-day immersive experience where we invite you out, and of course we will take all the precautions necessary for COVID and maintaining your safety. That's utmost on our list of priorities. But we really hope you show interest and come join us in December. But thanks again. Don't forget to travel mindfully, and I'll see you tomorrow.